leave. I go home. I go home to my life, and I take care of my cat and do all the stuff.
The air felt heavy that day, the kind of tension that crackles before a storm. I left the studio, my steps echoing in the quiet hallway, and went home to my life. My cat greeted me with a lazy stretch, oblivious to the chaos unfolding miles away. I fed her, tidied up, and tried to sink into the normalcy of routine. But the news was impossible to ignore. Whoopi Goldberg, the unshakable voice of The View, was gone. Not just absent, not on a planned hiatus, but vanished. Poof, into thin air. No warning, no tearful farewell, no dramatic exit from the iconic table where she'd held court for years. She was simply off the grid, and the rumor mill was churning at full speed. Word on the street? She'd fled the country, dodging a jaw-dropping $800 million defamation lawsuit filed by Karoline Leavitt, a conservative firebrand who'd walked into The View's lion's den and emerged with legal dynamite. This wasn't just a scandal, it was media mayhem on steroids, a cultural earthquake shaking the foundations of daytime TV ABC. The network behind The View was reportedly in full-blown panic mode. Insiders described scenes of chaos, producers scrubbing files, sponsors pulling funding, PR teams huddled in glass-walled meeting rooms, their lattes forgotten as they fielded crisis calls. The network's carefully curated image was unraveling, and Whoopi's sudden disappearance only fanned the flames. Sources claimed she'd hopped an international flight mere days after a judge greenlit expedited discovery in Leavitt's lawsuit, fast-tracking the case like a rocket. The timing was too perfect, too suspicious. Some insiders swore she was just taking a break, a wellness retreat to clear her head, but others weren't buying it. The whispers grew louder, more insistent. She ran. So, what triggered this vanishing act? How did a single guest segment spiral into a legal inferno that could torch a network? To understand, we need to rewind to the moment it all began. It started like any other episode of The View, a show known for its fiery debates and unapologetic takes. The round table was set, the audience buzzing, the cameras ready to capture every quip and clash. But this wasn't just another day. Karoline Leavitt, a young, sharp-tongued conservative, was the guest, and her presence was a spark in a room full of gasoline. Leavitt wasn't a typical visitor to the show's liberal-leaning stage. She was a rising star in conservative circles, known for her unyielding stance and quick wit. The atmosphere was icy from the start, the tension palpable. Leavitt walked in like she owned the place, hair flawless, posture ramrod straight, eyes like cold steel. She knew she was stepping into hostile territory, but she didn't flinch. A calm smile played on her lips as she took her seat, bracing for the onslaught. The hosts didn't hold back. Joy Behar struck first, her trademark smirk in place as she let out a smug laugh, dripping with condescension. She brushed off Leavitt's political experience, calling it baby steps in a tone that dared her to respond. Behar's jab was sharp, meant to diminish, to paint Leavitt as a novice out of her depth. Then came Sunny Hostin, arms crossed, her gaze colder than a winter morning. Hostin didn't mince words, dropping the term white privilege like a grenade. The implication was clear. Leavitt's success wasn't earned. It was handed to her by a system rigged in her favor. Hostin mocked her views, framing her as a Fox News caricature, a trainee parroting talking points. The table was a pressure cooker, and the hosts were turning up the heat. But it was Whoopi Goldberg who delivered the knockout punch. With her signature eye roll and a smirk that could cut glass, she leaned in and dropped the line that would ignite a firestorm. "You're not here because you earned it," she said, her voice low and deliberate. "You're just a token of pity politics." The words landed like a slap, followed by chuckles and smirks from the other hosts. The audience laughed. The cameras zoomed in, hungry for Leavitt's reaction. They wanted a meltdown, a viral moment, a clip that would dominate social media. But Leavitt didn't give it to them. No tears, no outburst, just that same quiet smile, the kind you wear when you've been underestimated in every room and come out on top. She sat there, composed, as the hosts reveled in their takedown, unaware they just lit the fuse on a legal bomb. The internet exploded overnight. Headlines screamed, "Karoline Leavitt sues The View for $800 million in landmark defamation." Case. Social media became a battleground, with TikTok creators dissecting the episode frame by frame, X posts amplifying the drama, and legal commentators calling it a stand against media bullying. This wasn't a petty spat. It was a cultural flashpoint. Leavitt's lawsuit wasn't just a response to a shady comment, it was a 100-page manifesto accusing Whoopi, Bihar, Hostin, and ABC itself of orchestrated character assassination. The filing didn't pull punches, alleging planned slander, politically motivated smears, and on-air humiliation dressed up as debate. Leavitt's legal team came armed with receipts. Every eye roll documented, every sarcastic laugh time-stamped, even teleprompter cues flagged as evidence of a setup. But the real heat came from what happened off-camera. Behind-the-scenes notes, internal emails, and covert recordings painted a damning picture. One leaked email laid out the strategy in chilling detail. Start soft with Joy. Joke about her age. Let Sunny pivot to race. Whoopi goes in for the ideological takedown. It wasn't a conversation, it was a scripted hit. Another Slack message casually suggested, let Whoopi take it home with sarcasm. Trigger her. Roll cameras nonstop. The production team had choreographed the ambush, and now their own words were evidence. The public was riveted, and the narrative shifted fast. What started as a talk show segment was now a legal nuke, aimed at the heart of ABC's empire. Whoopi, at first, played it cool. She laughed off the lawsuit on air, calling it political theater and shrugging like it was just another Tuesday. But behind closed doors, the cracks were showing. Insiders reported her showing up late, snapping at producers, skipping rehearsals, and ignoring show notes. One staff writer described the atmosphere as suffocating. You could cut the tension with a knife. Whoopi was spiraling, but trying to play it cool. Then came the summons, a court order delivered to ABC's headquarters like a thunderclap. The judge granted Leavitt's request to fast-track the case, citing public interest and reputational damage. That decision changed everything. Whoopi's smirk vanished, replaced by a flicker of panic. A producer allegedly overheard her muttering, "I didn't think she'd actually do it." But Leavitt wasn't bluffing. She was locked in, and Whoopi was out of time. Leavitt's legal team didn't just demand accountability, they demanded everything. Raw footage, unedited transcripts, internal emails, production notes, nothing was off limits. What they uncovered was devastating. A leaked email with the subject line, Karoline Polk strategy, outlined the plan. Have Sunny hit with a race comment. Joy can jab her credentials. Whoopi raps with Trump. Another Slack thread revealed, a producer's directive, make it look organic. But the knockout blow came in court when Leavitt's team played unreleased footage. In a moment that silenced the room, Whoopi, unaware her mic was hot, leaned in and muttered, "She's scripted. Toss her a Trump question. Watch her lock up." The courtroom froze. A CNN legal analyst summed it up. This isn't accidental. Bias. This is calculated humiliation. The public turned on a dime. Even skeptics began to side with Leavitt, and neutral voices called for an investigation into ABC's practices. Then, just as the pressure peaked, Whoopi disappeared. No goodbye, no final monologue, just gone. ABC issued a vague statement about a wellness break, but the timing was too convenient. Her scheduled deposition was days away, and insiders whispered a different story. A junior producer recalled, Whoopi pacing backstage, muttering, "I need air." By morning, she was nowhere to be found. Tabloids initially floated a cozy narrative, a wellness retreat in upstate New York perhaps, but then came the leaks. Reports surfaced of a private jet leaving JFK for Florence, Italy, chartered by a shell company tied to a celebrity fixer. The story shifted from retreat to escape. Some claimed she was hiding in a Mediterranean villa. Others pointed to a private Caribbean island. The most damning detail? She left right after the court ordered all hosts to testify under oath, and she never showed up. Legal analysts didn't mince words. You don't skip a deposition unless you've got something to hide, one said on MSNBC. Fox News was blunter. She ran. Social media erupted, with Amshashkirk Where's Whoopi trending across platforms. TikTok lit up with edits splicing Whoopi's on-air smirk with courtroom sketches and jet engines roaring. YouTubers dubbed it the Views Vanishing Act. While memes captioned with Karoline went to court, Whoopi went to Italy, went viral. Even progressive voices began questioning the wellness narrative. ABC's PR team scrambled, issuing a robotic statement. We support our talents' personal health journeys. But the public wasn't buying it. Ratings plummeted, advertisers bailed, and The View, once a daytime juggernaut, became a punchline.